Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei Becomes the Vigilante Hero Against Deku movie. Before we start, please go support God of Hope for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some mistaken character's gender, but of course Issei is a male. A young man who at the age of 5 lost the most important people in his life, and that episode marked him forever. Now armed with abilities called Quirts, he will try not only to find the person responsible, but also to find the cure to stop those millions of voices that torment him apart from his nightmares. The beginning. The night in Kuo Town was quiet. But on the docks a boat was unloading coffins in which some serious-looking guys in black clothes were taking out of these boxes, and from these boxes bags of blue powder. CPH4. A very dangerous drug. What are you waiting for? We have to download all this in 10 minutes fast. Boss, one of the workers is tired. The guy who was the boss just approached the man who was on his knees tired as he has been exploited. He just pulled out a gun and shot him in the head, staring at him mercilessly. Is anyone tired? Or do you want a headshot? Frightened men returned to work for fear of dying. Boss, what do we do with them? After finishing throwing them into the water there can be no witnesses. The leader Hamura wants his merchandise as soon as possible. Yeah. So they continued, but they didn't notice someone watching them from a window in the warehouse. He was a guy wearing somewhat dark clothing. He looked waiting for the moment. Well, tonight there is work to do. The silhouette climbed higher onto the roof until it reached a window. About 3 smoke grenades came out of his skin. In which he dropped them and they exploded, releasing white smoke. Infusing those inside. What the hell? Who did this? That person dropped to the ground doing a superhero landing. Although it hurt him a lot. Deadpool is right. It's terrible for the knees and too impractical. When he got up, the gunmen managed to see him and fired their Alaska 47s. He received the shots. Then more men fired their weapons at the stranger. But no matter how much they shot at him, they couldn't do anything to him. When they ran out of bullets they were going to reload, but the guy pointed his hand and a spark was generated from the palm. Shiny. Boom. An explosion went straight to the guy and he was all burned and hurt. He died. The others were going to shoot, but the subject kicked him at high speed and broke his neck. Then 2 more with katanas tried to cut him from behind, and with his left hand he created fire which, like a flamethrower, hit those guys and they screamed in agony. Who is that guy? Boss is the one the leader ordered us to kill. The manager just looked at the massacre that the unknown guy was doing. There's no way we're going to confront him. Let's get out of here. And the witnesses? Kill them and let's get out. The lackey took out a machine gun and was going to head towards the workers who were cornered in one of the corners of the warehouse. He was going to kill them. But when he pointed his gun. This was decorated by a shadow that had very scary yellow eyes, and the shadow enveloped the guy until it killed him. The boss tried to escape, but the doors would not open. Then there was silence. Then the boss saw that the guy had finished killing all his lackeys. That one approached. The boss just pointed his gun at the stranger in fear. Back off, don't come near me, freak. I want to know where your leader is. If you don't give me an answer I will kill you so slowly and painfully that you will wish I would end your life once and for all. Don't you know whose business you're ruining? Leader Hamura is the most powerful drug lord in the entire region. You can't threaten his drug empire and get away with it. And he can't kill innocent people and get away with it. I want to make him pay for what he's done. The stranger immobilized him with a shadow, taking away his weapon and yellow rays dancing on his fingers from his hand. We can do it the easy way. Or the boss spat in his face. Fine. You asked for it. But that hand full of electricity he touched his neck and he began to scream in pain. He stopped for a moment and asked again. Where is your leader? Fuck you, damn freakin'. Okay, we increased the voltage. It happened again and it was stronger. Well. You won't get anything from me. I was told that the dead don't say anything and I guess the living don't either. So I'll take care of you and go home to sleep. The stranger lit the guy on fire with his left hand and he burned. He lived. The screams were heard throughout the area, making the captives tremble. When only ashes remained, the stranger lit his left hand and melted the ice at the entrance. You're free. Go now. They immediately obeyed and thanked him before leaving. A few minutes later the police arrived at the warehouse and found all the drugs and several dead people. But the most remarkable thing is that one of those dead was hanging from a chain and on his chest he had a symbol. The symbol of a sword with 2 oval plates on each side of the guard. It was the symbol of justice. One of them who was an agent looked at the symbol with anger. Sir, are you okay? This CPH4 drug case was one that took me 2 weeks to try to solve and this bastard got the evidence he needed in 1 night. But he stopped those guys. He's a hero. He's just a threat to society. They should lock up that madman who thinks he's the one who. Far from there. In the house. The stranger arrived. He took off his jacket with a sweatshirt revealing his face, which was a 15-year-old boy with brown hair and almond-colored eyes. And then the shirt on which was stained with blood. With a kitchen knife he stuck the tip into the wound causing her to gasp. It hurt him. But he was tolerant enough to put up with it. And then I took it out and it was left on the floor, splashing the wooden floor with some drops of blood. A breath in a tired way. I walk a little and take out several things and pour ethyl alcohol on the wound. Another scream had to be contained. And a stapler sutured the wound itself. I sold it myself and that finished healing. He just looked at a picture on a shelf. It was a photo of him when he was 5 years old and his parents who were still alive. For the teenager it was a reminder of why he kept doing what he was doing. Because they were vigilant. You did it again, you killed. Not today, Izuku. In front of him appeared a teenager of about 15 years old with green hair and emerald eyes. He looked at the boy with anger and disappointment. And why not today? Because you are hurt. Because you had a bad day. Don't you feel guilty for taking someone's life? This is not what we taught you, Issei. I'm waging a war against a powerful drug lord. Besides, these guys wanted to kill me and they had plans to kill all those people. The guy I made suffer deserved it. You saw for yourself how he killed a poor man. For the love of God, Issei, you made someone suffer when you should have handed them over to the authorities like me and all my friends taught you. We trained you to be someone better and seeing this makes us regret having done it. So you want me to win a war without killing anyone? I'm not a bucking kid anymore. I opened my eyes when I saw how incompetent the police are and how their system doesn't serve them shit. Those guys got out of jail 3 days later and all because most of them are such damn corrupt people that I'm surprised they know where the bucking bathroom is. I know, damn it, I know, but still when you fight crime you have to be a hero. I gave up on your ideals a long time ago, Izuku. I'm not a hero since heroes don't exist. Now if you don't mind or if you have nothing else to say to me, I want you to leave me alone. The green-haired boy just looked at the brown-haired boy, being more disappointed in him. You'll end up dead when you get to that, boss. This is not what we want for you. Issei stood up and looked at Izuku. With eyes empty of life without any innocence. They were the eyes of someone who stopped believing in a better future and opened their eyes to reality. I hope that day comes so that I can leave this rotten world full of garbage. After all, the Joker was right, this whole society is a bucking bad joke. Good people don't exist and if there are, they will stop being good when they see reality. Good night, although it won't be for me thanks to nightmares. He went to his room to go to sleep. But when he fell into bed. I still have hope that you can redeem your life. And I'm not going to lose it. I just hope that my hopes are not in vain. And with that the voice of the young green-haired boy stopped being heard. Leaving in Issei to prepare for another night full of nightmares. Where he sees his parents die. Tortured by that boss who laughed out loud at seeing them suffer. That was the life of Issei the Cow Vigilante. Also known in the shadows as the Libra servant. Empathy. The unbroken cow. Issei woke up. I needed medication to sleep and avoid those nightmares. But they didn't always work. Now he just got out of bed and got ready to go to school. He went straight to the kitchen to make his breakfast. There was only silence throughout that moment. Izuku, who was his teacher, had not appeared. It was totally silent. Now the chestnut was in his living room where he was trying to read a book. But I had felt a very strong pain in my chest. It was the wound that he himself sutured. He had to endure those moans of pain. I walked slowly to go to the infirmary. But. Hi Ice. How are you? The person spoke to him. He turned around to see who it was. Although he actually knows her. Rias senpai. What can I help you with? I just stopped by to see how you were. Is it wrong to worry about you? She was a young girl of 18 years old. With long crimson hair and blue eyes. That girl was someone Issei did not want to involve in his life. He has hinted that he didn't want anything with her, but he was very insistent. I had told her directly but she continued and continued to insist. In the end he gave in and let her do whatever she wanted. No, and I'm sorry to be rude to you, but my business doesn't concern you. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go to the infirmary. Issei wait, she took him by the arm. But he groaned in pain. She noticed the red stain on his shirt. It was blood. Ice, you did it again. Something Issei knew was that she knew about him. Even his life as a vigilante. He didn't know how she had found out, but that day she told him that she knew about his life, he couldn't kill her. And it was for 2 reasons. The first. I couldn't kill someone who was well known and popular as it would raise suspicions. And the second one. Of all the people he met, she didn't look at him with fear and disgust, hell, even she offered to help him with his problems. But he doesn't consider himself someone who can be saved. So he walked away from her. It was just a mistake. The careless act that could have killed you and a reckless act that you are doing right now by coming to class injured. Don't you value your own life? Value staying alive in a world where chaos and fear of war are present all the time. I'm sorry, but I'd like to not see the end of this bucking plot. You must stop chasing that boss. All you're doing is going to your own grave. Don't they say that in revenge you have to dig 2 graves? And your parents would have wanted this for you? Don't involve my parents in this. They both started arguing. Besides, you don't care what I do with my life. Yes, I do. I care about you a lot, Issei. Please just let me help you. Rias-senpai. You're not going to do anything because you can't do anything. Those words silenced the retard mutely. The chestnut's words were true. She can't do anything. Even if he wants to, he can't do it. Which was not only a hard blow to his pride. But it was to his heart. Now if you'll excuse me, I have things to do and don't worry. You're invited to my funeral. And with that last he left. Leaving a retard very hurt. More with the last thing he said. I had so many wishes to be able to help him and he only speaks of his death as something that is already prepared. She doesn't want to see him die. He does not want or wish to see him die. She wants to see him live by her side. Issei, if only you would let me help you. Your sutures are poorly done. That's why they opened. He was in the infirmary being treated by a woman with dark brown hair and green eyes. She made sutures with medical thread. I didn't have any thread on hand. You should have called me and I would have done the stitches for you. I didn't want to bother anyone. She finished stitching and bandaging the wound. You must rest for 2 weeks so that you can be at 100 again. Just give me the usual. I have work tonight. Vicodin. Exact. She gave him a tube full of pills. He took it and put on a new shirt and then left. Issei-kun, you've been trying to find that guy for 2 years. And this wound almost hit your heart. Is it really worth it for you to kill yourself to get revenge? What other option do I have? You're not John Wick. Those Yakuza are people who will do anything to kill you. She put her hands on the young man's shoulders. Issei, I ask you as a doctor and adoptive mother, leave this life. I don't want to see you die. There are good things in life that you can live. He instead walked away from the woman. Do you really believe all the bullshit that comes out of your mouth? Well, believe me, I don't believe it anymore. Son, listen to me. I'm not your damn son. And with that scream he left there. Leaving the woman hurt by the way her adopted son spoke to her. While in the hallways, Issei walks taking 2 pills. I walk when? It was cruel what you said to her, Issei-kun. She only cares about you. He's trying to replace my mother and I won't forgive him for that. Besides, it's none of his business, Yayoi Rozu-san. The person was a tall girl with black hair tied in a high ponytail. She was one of his teachers. You confuse concern with intentions. She doesn't want that for you. Like you. I want to be a hero with a cape and a leotard. No thanks, I prefer to stay the way I am now. You waste all your potential on revenge that will ultimately lead to death. This is not the future. It is condemnation. Justice is condemnation. If I can achieve my goal and avenge those that bastard killed, obviously I will do it. I will not stop until I kill him. Now if you don't mind, I want to be alone. She looked at him, sadly disappeared. And the chestnut tree went back to its thing. Night fell. And in the old building the light of a lamp could be seen through the windows. Rias looked at her documents. All of them were the contracts that his servants made. Your Knight Kiba. Your Kaneko Tower. His Bishop Asia. His 4-piece pawn Ika. And his Queen Akeno. Everyone was doing their thing and relaxing today. But someone had entered. It was her friend Sona Citri and her queen Tsubaki. Both had serious looks and more Sona. Sona, tell me the news you have is good. Not encouraging. The reward for Libra servant has increased to 12 million. The drug lord is desperate to find him. The police and even the corrupt are looking for him in the lowest neighborhoods. At this rate, Issei-kun will soon be discovered. For both heiresses, the matter of Issei was one that hurt them both. Both of them have a good opinion of the chestnut tree. He even saved them from a robbery a year ago. For her, Issei is a hero. But seeing that he had become an avenger and all because he no longer trusts the law hurt them. Since now he has no mercy for murderers and criminals. He kills them without mercy, even torturing them to extract information from them, all to reach his goal. Hamura, the drug lord. A dangerous Yakuza. They understand that he killed his parents, but they know that the path that this boy takes will only lead him to his death. Do you have any plans, Rias? I have nothing, Sona. The last thing I have left is to watch and see how she dies. Issei is someone who, out of the kindness of his heart and the duty of justice, became a hero in their eyes. A hero who got lost on the path of revenge. Jumping across the roofs and buildings of the city was Issei himself, who was doing his routine of watching the streets and looking for clues of Hamura. He stopped in an alley when he saw 3 guys carrying a woman who was asking for help in her eyes. Great bad day for you bastards. He immediately jumped into action. Those men thought they were going to have fun with that girl. One of them had torn his clothes. The girl cried knowing that no one was going to save her and accepting her fate. The guy was already going to start. But the knife was stuck in his neck, killing him instantly. The other two released the girl and tried to look around for where the attacker was. They could see the guard appear in front. "Good evening, idiots. It's the Libra, dear. The boss has been looking for him. If we bring him his head he will reward us." They pulled out 9mm pistols and shot the guard, but the bullets bounced off his body. He lunged at one and struck it with an enlarged hand to kill it with one blow. And without knowing it, a cover of ice trapped the other one, leaving his head free. The path to the girl under her jacket, a blanket came out to give it to her. "Go away now." She nodded and took the blanket to cover herself and escape, leaving him alone with the remaining guy. "Tell me where your boss is now." "I won't tell you anything, clown." "I was hoping you would say that." He brought his hand closer and a few drops fell from his fingers on her forehead. It was acidic, making him scream in pain. "Where is your boss?" The guy didn't answer the question. 1. He brought his acid-filled hand closer to the guy's face. 2. "Okay, I'll tell you, he's going to show up to receive a very important shipment of CPH-4 in a week. Everyone is looking for you because there's a price on your head. He'll be at Pier 14 in the city. That's all I know, please don't kill me." "Thanks for the information, but I don't think I promised not to kill you." The grenade came out of his hand and he removed the safety pin and then put it in his mouth, allowing him to die horribly with screams of despair, leaving the whole alley painted red. When the police arrived, they only had to call the coroner to look for clues. Issei was on a tall building looking at the city illuminated by the lights of the streets and corners. Looking at those citizens who were just walking to their homes and apartments to continue another day. Unaware that at night Issei wages a war against a very powerful Yakuza. "Brat, this time you really went too far." Issei didn't need to see to know who it was. One of his strictest teachers he ever had, Izawa. "I don't have to answer to you, Izawa-san. You are using our peculiarities to kill and get your revenge. That was not what was agreed. I did the city a favor by getting rid of those bastards. Killing is not what makes a hero. They were going to grape a woman. You had to hand them over to the authorities. They were going to grape a woman. The way you do things is not right. They were going to grape a woman. I do not approve of your actions. They were going to grape a woman. What did they want me to do? Follow the law. Fuck the law." A flame appeared on the entire roof due to the fury that the chestnut tree felt. "You don't deserve to have our powers. A hero wouldn't do what you're doing, brat." "I am not a hero. I have already lost hope in the law and in society. I just have to find the murderer of my parents and many others like me, and I will be able to die in peace. If it were up to me, I would take away those powers from you. I just hope you don't regret what you do. Send my regards to Nomuri-san." And with that he left, making Izawa disappear. And so the night continued, leaving several mafia people dead. He was a hunter who killed without mercy. And once he arrived, he was able to go to sleep with nightmares waiting to torment him. 6 days passed. Issei was waiting for the moment to go after his parents' murderer. He still remembers how they died. "I was barely 5 years old. Remember the screams. The supplications. The laughter of those bastards. And the blood. Blood. Blood." His hatred towards that guy had increased more. So much so that, unintentionally, in the middle of class, the temperature began to drop, causing his classmates to shiver from the cold. He took advantage of that to leave without being noticed. To get to the bathroom, wet your face and look in the mirror. He didn't deny it, he was afraid. It was his last day alive. He accepted death, but that didn't mean he didn't fear it. "I would still go ahead with the plan though. It's time to make that bastard pay. So it's over." He turned to look at the one who was his teacher and who he also saw as a father figure. "Midoriya Izuku. Yes, today everything ends. I can finally rest. And your friends. At least you won't say goodbye to them." "You're talking about the guys from the club. They'll forget me in a month. Besides, it's not like I've had many friends. Most of my life was just hunting that bastard. Not even from your tutor. She cares about you. He will stop me when I say goodbye. Besides, it's time for me to make my own life. I'm just an obstacle. What a shame. I can't believe that the person I trained and who had the dream of becoming a hero gives up just like that. You won't see me again tonight. I think this is the end of it." He was going to the door, but he stopped to say something. "If there is a hell, I don't think it would be worse than what I have experienced on Earth." And so he left the bathroom. I walked to the exit when Iodo-kun, what are you doing here? Haichu herself stopped him. He looked and could see that she was accompanied by Tsubaki. "I don't feel well. I asked for permission to leave early. Is that it, or are you going to prepare to go after that boss?" He didn't say anything since Ona was another of the few people who knew his identity as a vigilante. "To the council office now. I don't have time for this." I said now Hyodo. And she was also one of the few who, like Rias, tends in some cases to obey. She never knew why, but she and Rias were girls who, if that boss did something to them, would never forgive themselves. So, growling like an angry animal, he obeyed the girl with glasses. Now there was him. In the council room surrounded by almost all its members. So? Any reason why I'm here? Someone is still missing. The door opened to reveal Rias and her group. Sorry for the delay, I'm here now. Rias-senpai, what are you doing here? Simple, you will stay here until dawn comes. He blinked a little upon hearing those words. Wow, what a good joke. But I don't have time for this right now, if you'll excuse me. He wanted to leave. But Kaneko pushed him until he fell to the ground. You stay here senpai, he said it in a really serious way. He couldn't believe she had done that to him. So he jumped to his feet. Staying is not in my plans, I'm leaving. Ice, if we are here it is because we will not let you go, Rias spoke firmly. I was determined to prevent him from dying. You know of my abilities. I will take to hell whoever crosses my path. There are more than 350 men where you are going all armed to the teeth and ready to eliminate you. Are you going to kill them all? Sona also spoke seriously to Issei. He didn't expect that amount of people. Know how much blood will he have to shed to achieve his goal? Issei was desperate, and the worst thing was that those memories of his dead parents and those he could not save or those who could have prevented their deaths if he had done what was required came to his mind. I'll kill them anyway. Well, I won't leave you. I don't care what happens to them, but what happens to you? Issei was beginning to lose control of his emotions. His traumas were beginning to upset him. Something that everyone knew. Post-traumatic stress disorder. I don't want to hurt Rias-senpai. You're going to have to hurt me, but I won't let you go to your death, Ika. Behind him the brunette with glasses managed to catch him with her arms using force. Issei could see that his arms were covered by red metallic gloves with an emerald green gem on the back of the hand and thorns on the sides. And from his hand a blue rope stole his strength. That rope came from an artifact that Saji had in his hand. Let me go, he tried to free himself. You're not leaving here, we have to help you, Issei Ika told him, trying to keep her grip. Since she wanted to save the person she is in love with. Your days of revenge end here, friend, it's for your own good, said Saji, stealing more of his strength. I wanted to avoid losing a great friend. Issei felt increasingly weak. Then he saw how the Redeed approached a brown-haired boy. We will make you forget everything you have been through, Ice. You will be able to live a peaceful and happy life with us. She brought her hands closer and placed them on Issei's head. But the spell, he tried to find his memories and erase them. But when he found them he opened something that shouldn't have been opened. The horrible memories he experienced were his worst nightmares. And something else. Something you will never forget. Agria screamed in pain as she felt what Issei feels mentally every day. Laughs. Sona went to help her using the same spell as well, but she was also affected. They both felt the nightmares. Dolores. Fears. Indifferences. Tortures, both physical and psychological. And more. What they saw was a real nightmare. She, unable to bear it any longer, broke the spell. They walked away and their queens came straight to see them. Issei, already losing control, used one for all at 18%, freeing himself from Ika's grip, and the energy that Saji absorbed was very powerful that it seriously hurt his arm. With overwhelming force he hit the ground and broke open a hole to escape. The students below were frightened as they watched as Issei had rays of green energy surrounding his body. Jumping out of the window from the second floor, breaking the glass. Before everyone's eyes, Issei escaped. Desato, who had heard the crash, managed to see how his adopted son escaped using one for all. I look where the hole in the ceiling came from. She arrived at the council room and saw her queens trying to get their kings to react, who were kneeling on the ground and had a 1,000-yard stare with tears coming out of their eyes. As if they were disconnected from the world. She put their foreheads together and recited a spell that made them return to normal. Something that they only looked desperately at the brown-haired boy. Girls, tell me what you saw in Issei's memories. We saw miles of corpses, dead people moving, asking for help. Ice was already trying to escape from them. Everyone was crying, begging, screaming in pain. It was a complete hell. Rias and Sona's words left everyone frozen. But what was more chilling was seeing Chisato lower her gaze. Some tears ran down her chin. The heiresses looked on, fearing that it was something worse than what they saw in Issei's head. They are losing the battle. Chisato-san, what do you mean? Tsubaki asked, helping her king to stand up. What you just saw was what many call empathy. Empathy? You see, when a person sees another happy, sad or angry, the other can say, I understand your pain, or I understand your happiness. That is called empathy. Now imagine that empathy at the level of a god in a 15-year-old emotionally wounded boy, an empathy that encompasses the entire earth and factorial planes like the domains of Hades. Both the living and the dead are heard by him even if he does not want to. Everyone imagined that and opened their eyes in total shock. Is Issei suffering like that every day? Listening to souls of people suffering in hell like in life. How is it possible that he is still sane? Asia understood the magnitude of that. Souls that suffered and still suffer. Souls that, despite being sinners, cry out in pain and anguish. Souls that Issei feels and hears without having any control. Inside his mind there are some people who prevent empathy from breaking him, but from what I could see they can no longer continue, and the voices of hundreds of millions of people who suffer around the world are reaching his head, making him go crazy to the point of wanting to take his life at this rate. We will not be able to do anything if we do not manage to stop him. There was a very crude silence in the place. It seemed that there was no hope anymore. And just when things couldn't get any worse. Haicho. Rias had arrived and without warning turned on the television. On a news channel, a video was shown of Issei using One for All and fleeing not only from school but from the streets. And the worst thing was that thanks to those videos the police linked him to the Libra emissary. In short, the identity of the Vigilante had been revealed locally and soon nationally. Oh no. Issei arrived home still breathing uncontrollably. He tried to ignore those voices of agony and suffering that he heard in every nightmare. Millions and millions of voices. But now I couldn't. No matter how hard I tried, the voices wouldn't shut up. I walk into the bathroom trying to wash my face and find my painkillers. Issei-kun, stay firm please. Don't give in to those voices. A short-haired brown-haired girl appeared trying to cheer him up. You're raucous and those voices are getting harder to ignore. I'm sorry Issei-kun, we can't keep those voices at bay anymore, we can't do anything anymore. She began to cry for not being able to help the one who was her student and she loved him like a son. Issei now knew that there was really no way out anymore. He had lived in empathy for 3 minutes. But when he experienced it, the pain was so strong and prolonged that he thought he had lived there his whole life. It was a real hell, and he fears going back there, and the worst thing is that it is inevitable. He looked at the chestnut. Thank you, you're raucous, and tell everyone I'm sorry. I'm sorry for not being the hero they wanted me to be, and even though I know they will never forgive me, I'm happy that they are free from me and can rest. She knew Issei didn't want this. He wanted to say goodbye to everyone since they were his family. He could only smile with sadness when he saw that nothing could be done. I'll tell everyone goodbye Issei, and remember that even if you feel like you're alone, there will always be someone who looks out for you. She disappeared and Issei went to change to go to what would be his last battle. It was ready. But. Iodo Issei, we are the police, come out with your hands up and surrender to justice. The police already knew his identity and now he had to escape. His last night would be worth remembering. Hell. Several police officers surrounded the house and among them was that detective. After so many years, I was finally going to capture the one who has taken justice into his own hands. His superiors are already thinking of locking the boy in a hole and throwing away the key. Of course, after taking all the information and blood samples that the Japanese government wants with a. This is your last warning, come out with your hands up. The door opened and the police were preparing to shoot along with several special forces officers. There was silence until they noticed something. The pink smoke was coming out of the door and that smoke was heading towards them. Something that doesn't usually happen. The officers began to fall asleep after taking the first breath of smoke. The smoke is toxic, don't breathe. He had warned but it was too late. One by one everyone began to faint. And then the detective began to feel sleepy. When he fell to the ground he could see that the door of that house was showing the same chestnut tree with that smoke coming out of his body. Then he walked over to the detective and crouched down. After I did 80% of your work and this is how you pay me? By threatening me with being a criminal. The detective couldn't speak. Don't worry, you won't have to deal with me anymore, today is my last day alive, so this is a farewell goodbye. And so, being seen by a police helicopter and another from a television station, he left the law enforcement officers on the ground. After entering the buildings, Issei managed to lose sight of the helicopters. To then head to the place where he would find his main target. However, he was attacked by lightning, which he barely managed to dodge. He stopped to look at his senpai Himejima Akeno, who had a serious look. I guess he won't leave me alone, right? You guess right now we do it the good way or the bad way? She asked. The brown-haired boy, instead of responding, just hardened his body, ready to fight. I'm glad, I never liked it for the good. He launched himself with a punch, but she dodged in the air throwing lightning bolts at the brown-haired boy. He is using the quirk of one of his teachers. Kaminari. Managed to absorb part of the lightning. He couldn't waste time fighting her, so he pointed with one hand creating an explosion in his palm and it went straight to her who used a magic barrier to protect herself. Moore was pushed and distracted by the noise, giving Issei time to escape. He kept jumping with air coming out of his shoes. He used the quirk of his master Izuku's master. Gran Torino. He jumped from building to building until suddenly a powerful blow to his cheek sent him to the ground. He sat up to see his partner. "Don't force me to use force on you, Issei-senpai. Kaneko Toho. I don't have time to play with you." He launched himself trying to escape, but she managed to intercept him until she got fed up and began to fight, hardening her arms to fight hand to hand. Both exchanged blows in which she managed to win due to the great strength she had. She then managed to land a blow to her opponent's stomach, causing him to recoil in pain. I couldn't be more serious due to two factors. He didn't dare hurt her, nor did he want to waste any more of his strength. I had to save them to face Hamura's lackeys. So an idea had occurred to him. When he took Loli's fist he put a purple ball on it and hit it to the ground. She tried to get up but couldn't get away, and then another hand and then her knees. I was stuck to the ground. "Senpai," she shouted desperately. He just dropped off the building and walked away without looking at her. He continued on his course to the dock straight to his objective. But he ducked as two blades went into his body. After his arms he took out two long blades and stopped those attacks. It was Kiba and Tsubaki who had their weapons ready to fight and stop Issei. "You know, you make a lovely couple. I almost feel sorry that I won't be there on your wedding day." "Believe me, Issei-kun, you will be the godfather," Kiba told him. "And our children's favorite uncle also, Tsubaki. They tempt me, but nope." The two of them launched themselves at high speed, but he, with good reflexes, blocked and evaded the cuts, but he had to find a way out of that situation. And he found her. "Hey, how did you find me?" That stopped both demons. They didn't understand what was happening. But they didn't see anything wrong with answering him. "We followed you when you left Kaneko-chan behind. It wasn't very difficult." "Bad choice." Since suddenly their bodies paralyzed. They could no longer move or have control. "Go to that alley and give each other a long kiss." They obeyed without being able to do anything and left the roof, leaving Issei alone. Smiling. "It's my farewell gift, I wish you all the best." And with that he left. He kept jumping from roof to roof. "I was almost there, I was only 20 minutes away. I'm almost there, very soon he will pay for everything he has done, you will pay him or pay her." And just something got in his way. It was her. Rias-senpai. Who was in front of him. For a few seconds no one said anything until she spoke. "It's a beautiful night, I so beautiful to live in. Or to die." He was prepared for whatever she threw at him. "You don't have to do this, Ice. I don't need a why to do it, just a reason, and my reason is to finish." "Finish what?" "I should have died with my parents that day that Hamura killed them." She listened to him. "But if God, or karma, or the damn universe allowed me to live, I think it was for this day." "For this day? Do you really think you can just go on and die, leaving yourself to chance? That's not how it works, Issei. The only thing you'll do when you die is make those who have cared for you suffer. They will forget me after 2 months and move on with their lives. Nobody is indispensable, Rias-senpai. No, Issei, you are indispensable both to me and to the others, that is why I will not allow you to go to your death." Suddenly, without him realizing it, someone grabbed him by the back and prevented him from escaping, while another person with blue lines kept him on the ground. "Aika and Saji, do you want to go through this again?" "No, my friend, you will not die today," said Saji. "If we have to break your leg so you don't go to your funeral, we'll do it gladly," said Aika. "Well, you asked for it." Ice formed on her right side, freezing Aika's body, who had to separate herself from the chestnut tree due to the cold of -30. After Issei's navel, a pink laser went straight to Saji, which knocked him out. Then, with an enlarged right hand, he hit Aika's half-frozen body, leaving her unconscious. "I hope they hate me so that it will be easy for them to forget me. I don't believe it." A destructive red and black energy approached Issei, and he created a concrete wall stopping the attack. It was Rias. So he pointed his glowing palm ready to launch an explosion, which she dodged, and with the power of destruction in her palms, she fought hand to hand with Issei, hurting him until she hit him hard in the head. Then she grabs him by the green sweatshirt and looks him in the eyes. "Well, it's time for us to go to the club whether you like it or not." But I didn't expect him to suddenly grab her by the waist, and with one jump they both fell to the ground where there was an alley. Rias was in a lot of pain and was trying to recover. "Well, Issei. Now, go back to your club, senpai, before you get hurt," he said as he dusted himself off and walked away. But a can on his head stopped him. She wouldn't let him go. Then he threw a piece of wall at him and he dodged it. "Really?" he asked himself. Issei approached, taking a piece of wood, and with it he hits it, making it go through a brick wall leading to an abandoned warehouse. "I'm sorry, senpai, but I told you that you can't do anything," he said as he approached her to knock her out. But Rias, already very angry, reached for a steel bar and hit him with the tool. And this bang, what bang is bang, Issei bang. The brown-haired boy stopped the bar, but she kicked him in the knee, causing him to incline, and with great force, she lifted him up through a second floor. Issei didn't understand how she could keep up with him. Has some reason entered your head yet? She appeared flying with her wings ready to continue fighting. As Sona arrived with the rest of her group and the other Grimoire demons, they tried to come up with a plan. Haicho, what should we do? Asked Momo. Let's put a barrier around the warehouse to prevent Hyoto from escaping. He couldn't speak anymore since both Chestnut and Redeed crossed the ground again, reaching the first floor. Now they both stood up. How stubborn you are, understand that you can't do anything, he shouted at her. You understand that what I do is for you, you damn idiot, the girl yelled back at him. Both now attacked each other with techniques and blows which hurt each other more in the sight of both groups. Issei sent stop at Asia begged him. Hyoto-kun stop, Sona ordered him, wanting to get into the fight. And without further ado, Rias grabs him by the neck and slams him against the ground, causing him to hurt his back. She was breathing heavily as the invulnerability spell Chisato cast on her was draining her magic reserves. But she didn't expect a shockwave to take her away from Issei, and it was that the same brown-haired boy used 10% of one for all on his fingers. They both stood up in pain. He pointed at it with his right hand, and suddenly it transformed into a crustacean claw. Sona immediately recognized him. Rias, stop him, it's a pistol shrimp claw. Immediately the Redeed also pointed with the power of destruction in her palm. They both signed up, making everyone tense. Issei was getting out of control as he didn't want to harm Rias. That girl who really wants to help him. And it didn't help that the voices and cries from hell kept coming back to his head. Lower your hand, Issei, she ordered him, trying to reason with him. Do we really have to go through this? I asked him in pain. We don't have to do this, Issei. Do you think you can decide for me? You're not reasoning, lower your hand. If you think you can stop me, then do it. Lower your hand, he warned her again. Go on, shoot if you dare. Put that hand down, Issei, he ordered again. No, he shouted, ready to die. Put her down, he shouted with tears in his eyes. Kill me. Put it down now. Kill me now. I won't kill you. Why? Why don't you want to kill me? Why do I love you, idiot? Everyone was shocked by what they just heard. Rias admitted that she loves Issei. She realized what she said and the truth no longer mattered to her. If revealing her feelings for the young vigilante was of any help in stopping him, then so be it. On the other hand, Issei, upon hearing that, his mind seemed to format itself. He didn't know what to do in such a situation, since he never thought that the girl he had dreamed of marrying several times would openly tell him that she loved him. But how? When? What the hell? Now I was all nervous as I couldn't finish a sentence or at least think of one. And the worst thing. My little one has a girlfriend. How I love romance. One of her teachers decided to show up and she was one who really liked romance and shipping. But she don't mind. Teacher, this is none of your business. Of course it's my business. This is your chance to put your desire for revenge behind you and get your girl to save you. Now you wait and tell her you love her too. I'm not going to say that. Am I lying? Of course not, tell him right now and do dirty things, you filthy pigs. Stop talking your dirty stuff. Everyone watched as Issei made expressions as if he was talking to someone inside him. The others were arriving after they were released and saw the brown-haired boy arguing in silence. What's wrong with Senpai? I'm not sure, Kaneko-chan. Did they hit him hard on the head? But a brunette with glasses looked on with curiosity. Is this how I look when I argue with you? Maybe, but maybe it's the other way around. I argue with you for every yaoi comic you make me watch. Don't be a crybaby. Well, with Issei. Besides, you shouldn't care about my feelings for Rias or the others, so you better keep quiet, Master Mina. I don't care about those details. What I want is to watch from the front row while you do lots of dirty things with your girl. Not crazy, eh? Almost everyone was frightened by the scream he gave. Everyone looked at him strangely. But when he saw Ria's gaze, he knew that she was smiling at him affectionately, and it was because she saw his weaker and more innocent side. So much so that now I blush more. Stop looking at me like that, he shouted very nervously. And how do you want me to look at you, Ice? You're showing me a side I always wanted to see in you. And you still ask. I look weak. What the brown-haired boy and neither of the two groups of demons knew was that someone appeared behind him and boom. And they hit the nerves in his back, paralyzing his body. Thank you for distracting him enough, Rias. Now he will have no way to escape. He recognized that voice. Hi, Chisato. I'll find a way to help you, Issei. It was the last thing he said before falling unconscious from exhaustion. His body hurt. He opened his eyes and saw that he was on his knees with his wrists chained to shackles that glowed in a purple aura. His legs and ankles were bound with leather straps that had magical seals on them. And he had no shirt, which revealed his torso and back full of marks and scars. I didn't know how I got there. And to make matters worse, The voices came back and with more force. Help me. Guilty. Get away from me. It burns me. Sinner. Help. Every time he heard that storm of laments it was a complete torture for him. I didn't listen to them so often before thanks to their teachers. But if I hear them now that I'm awake that means that guys I'm sorry. Tears came out of her eyes as she believed that her teachers must have already disappeared. Now he is alone and that is what terrified him so much. Loneliness. The door of the room opened and he could see that it was a basement. Several people he knew came down the stairs. The occult club and the student council. Together with his adoptive mother Chisato. Rias, who had a tray with food, was going to approach him to give him something to eat, but at the moment of doing so. The voices came back and with more force. So much so that. Die. A single cry of pain and agony froze the blood of everyone present. Issei, calm down please. He screamed louder and moved frantically to the point that the bases of the chains threatened to separate from the walls. Hiba and Saji tried to calm him down, but it was impossible because of the great strength he had. The girls and especially Asia, who had an idea of what Issei was suffering, began to cry. Aika, who had the booster gear, tried something she wanted. Greg, amplify the sounds Issei hears. When she put her hand with the sacred gear on the brown-haired boy's head, everyone began to listen. What they heard left them terrified. Screams, wails, sadistic laughter, agonies, everything could be heard. Like a complete hell. Aika walked away terrified by what she had just heard. Asia fell to her knees feeling great emotional pain for what her friend was suffering, and the worst was what was next. Kill me please, I don't want to listen to them anymore, please I beg you please make them shut up. Everyone watched him beg. Beg to die than live in hell. Chisato approached him and immediately hit him on the back of the neck, knocking him unconscious again. Rias approached him and hugged him as did Sona, since they who experienced only a small part of it hurt to see that boy they had fallen in love with suffering, what would be eternal agony if something was not done. Issei my Issei, Rias said while she started to cry. Issei-kun, my hero, my beloved hero. Sona also began to cry. They both hugged him tighter. Wanting to get back the person they love and get him out of that hell he lives every day. That night everyone understood at least a little of what the hero was suffering. Everyone understood that Issei needed help. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.